Have you ever shared something precious with someone you trusted, only to watch it destroy everything you held dear? Today, I want to share a story that will change how you think about trust, friendship, and the secrets we keep. This is the story of Arthur, an old gardener whose greatest gift became his deepest loss, all because of 3 words he should never have spoken. Stay with me until the end, because the lesson in this story might just save you from a heartbreak you never saw coming. In a small village nestled between rolling hills, there lived an old man named Arthur. Now, Arthur wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, but he had something that made people travel from distant towns just to see it: his garden. Arthur's garden was magical. Roses that bloomed even in the coldest winter, vegetables that tasted sweeter than anywhere else, fruit trees that seemed to bear gifts all year round. People would stand at his fence and ask, "Arthur, what's your secret? How do you make everything grow so beautifully?" And Arthur would smile warmly and say, "Patience, love, and something special I cannot share." Everyone respected his boundary, everyone, except his closest friend. David and Arthur had been friends for 40 years. 40 years of shared dreams, shared failures, and shared tears. When Arthur's wife passed away, David sat with him through endless nights of grief. When David lost his farm to a flood, Arthur gave him money without ever asking for it back. Their friendship was the kind that most people only dream of having. But one spring evening, as they sat under the old oak tree in Arthur's garden, everything changed. David said softly, "Arthur, we've shared everything for 40 years. Why won't you tell me the secret of your garden? Don't you trust me?" Those words, they stung. Arthur did trust David with his life, but deep inside, something whispered a warning. A small voice that said, "Some things are meant to stay with you alone." Still, seeing the hurt in David's eyes, Arthur's heart melted. "All right, my friend," Arthur said quietly, "I'll tell you, but you must promise never to share it with anyone." David's eyes lit up. "I promise. You know I would never betray your trust." And so Arthur revealed his secret. Deep beneath the garden, hidden from the world, there was a natural spring, pure, mineral-rich water that he had discovered as a young boy. Every morning before dawn, Arthur would draw water from this hidden spring and nourish his plants with it. That was the magic. "But Arthur," David asked, "why keep this secret? This could help the whole village." Arthur's voice became serious. "Because, David, if everyone knew, they would come and take the water. They would dig and destroy what nature took centuries to create. They would fight over it. The spring is small. It gives just enough for my garden. If exploited, it would dry up forever." David nodded solemnly. "I understand. Your secret is safe with me." They embraced, and Arthur felt at peace, but he shouldn't have. Weeks passed. David kept the secret well. But secrets have a way of growing in the darkness of our minds. David's own garden was struggling. His crops were failing. His family worried about winter. And every time he looked at Arthur's abundant garden, he thought about that magical spring. "Just a little water wouldn't hurt," he told himself. "Arthur won't even notice." One night, when the village slept, David crept into Arthur's garden. He found the hidden entrance to the spring. He filled his buckets. He did it again the next night. And the next. His garden began to improve. His neighbors noticed. "David, what happened? Your garden looks wonderful." Pride swelled in his chest. "Oh, I learned a few techniques," he said vaguely. "But curiosity is a hungry beast." His neighbor Marcus pressed him. "Come on, David. We're friends. What's your secret?" David hesitated. He had promised Arthur, but Marcus was struggling too. His children were hungry. And David thought, maybe just one more person won't hurt. Marcus is trustworthy. So he shared the secret, making Marcus promise not to tell anyone. But Marcus told his brother told his friend, the friend told his wife. And like a wildfire in dry grass, soon the entire village knew.
"Dig faster, it must be here somewhere."
One morning, Arthur woke to the sound of chaos. He rushed to his garden and froze in horror. Dozens of villagers were there, digging frantically around the spring, their buckets and tools tearing through the earth.
Get out of
The
the
sacred
way.
ground
That's
that had
mine.
taken centuries to form, being ripped apart in minutes. "Stop!" Arthur cried, his voice breaking. "Please, stop! You'll destroy it!" But in their desperation, in their greed, they didn't listen. They pushed each other. They shoved each other. They fought for access to the water. By noon, the spring had collapsed. The water that had flowed for centuries stopped. The earth around it crumbled into a muddy pit. Arthur fell to his knees, tears streaming down his weathered face, his life's work, his legacy, his secret, all destroyed. The villagers, realizing what they had done, slowly dispersed in shame and silence. Only David remained, standing at a distance, unable to meet Arthur's eyes. That evening, David came to Arthur's door, his face heavy with guilt. "Arthur, I'm so sorry. I never meant—" Arthur raised his hand, his eyes red from crying, but his voice was steady. "You never meant for this to happen, but it did happen, David. Do you know why?" David hung his head. "Because I broke my promise." "No," Arthur said quietly. "You broke something deeper than a promise. You broke the understanding that some things are sacred, that not everything is meant to be shared, even with those we love." "But I trusted Marcus," David began, "and Marcus trusted his brother, and the brother trusted his friend." And on, Arthur interrupted. "That's what you don't understand, David. When you share a secret that isn't yours to share, you don't just betray one person's trust. You start a chain reaction that you cannot control." David's tears began to fall. "I've destroyed our friendship, haven't I?" "You've destroyed more than that, my friend. You've destroyed years of careful stewardship. You've destroyed the balance of nature. And yes, you've damaged the trust that we built over 40 years. Trust isn't just about keeping secrets. It's about understanding boundaries and respecting them, even when you don't understand why they exist." In the months that followed, Arthur's garden slowly died. Without the spring water, the plants withered. The roses stopped blooming. The trees bore no fruit. The magic was gone. Arthur never blamed David publicly, but David blamed himself every day. Their friendship never returned to what it was. A wall had been built, invisible but impossible to tear down. Years later, a young boy asked Arthur, "Why don't you garden anymore, sir?" Arthur, now bent with age, smiled sadly. "Because I learned that some gifts are too precious to keep when others won't respect them. And I learned that sharing everything isn't love. Sometimes keeping sacred things sacred is the deepest form of love." The boy asked innocently, "But wasn't it selfish not to share?" "My child," Arthur said gently, "there's a difference between selfishness and wisdom. Selfishness is keeping something good for yourself alone. Wisdom is protecting something precious from those who would misuse it." Arthur passed away the following winter, his garden still barren. But his story lived on. Parents began telling their children, "Guard your heart carefully. Share your joys freely, but your deepest treasures, your dreams, your secrets, your sacred spaces, protect them wisely. Not everyone who loves you is ready to carry the weight of what you hold precious." David lived with his regret for the rest of his life. On his deathbed, he called his grandchildren close and whispered, "I once betrayed the trust of the best friend I ever had, not out of malice, but out of weakness. Learn from my mistake. Trust is a treasure, but wisdom is knowing what to trust others with." So let me ask you, what secrets are you protecting? What boundaries have you set? And are you respecting the boundaries that others have set for you? Remember this. True trust isn't about sharing everything. It's about respecting boundaries, understanding that some things are sacred, and recognizing that human weakness can turn even the best intentions into painful consequences. Guard your heart with wisdom, share with discernment, and remember, the deepest trust sometimes means knowing what not to share. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories that can change your life. And in the comments below, tell me, what's one lesson about trust that you learned the hard way? Until next time, protect what's precious and trust with wisdom.